All right, guys, and we're live for the 19th installment of the Unplugged Alpha series. Got a special guest tonight on the topic of dirty talk. Happens to be an expert on the topic. He's a good dude. Before we get started, let me grab the link to YouTube and ask you guys to do me solid and come on over to YouTube, because this is actually where I'm going to drop the join link later on for you guys to come on in and ask questions. Maybe around the 30, 45 minute mark. And let me drop that in all. So if you're watching on the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Twitches, the Twatches, the whatever, just click that and come on over. And I'll introduce you to my guest today. You guys, you shouldn't need much of an introduction because he's a handsome gentleman with a good look and a great last name. What's up, Sterling?
I'm fantastic, Rich. It's good to be back, mate.
What's up, brother? So let me just get the Cooper thing out of the way first, because inevitably, at some point during the show, hey, are you guys related? No. When you get into adult entertainment and in many lines of work, you often have to, make up a name. And actually, I learned where your name came from because I was watching, Mad Men.
Yeah.
That's where you got it from, right?
No, I actually didn't get it from Mad Men. People think I got it from Mad Men. I didn't get it from Mad Men. After I picked the name, then everyone was like, oh, Mad Men. And then I watched Mad Men. I was like, that's a fucking cool.
Total coincidence then.
Total fucking coincidence. Yeah.
Great. So, we haven't done any work in a long time, Sterling and I. It's good to see you and hang out. We were chopping it up a little bit before the show. It sounds like everything's going good in his world. But topic tonight is on dirty talk. And we're going to keep this, because somebody asked here, how dirty are we talking here? Well, we're going to be talking at YouTube level dirty. So there's some stuff that we'll get to, which is available to you if you want to get into the serious material. But we're going to fly up to about 20,000 feet and keep it at altitude. Try to give you guys some generals on it. But dirty talk. Why do women love it, Sterling? Why don't you start with that, since you're an industry expert as a adult film star?
Yeah, this is the biggest sexual organ, Rich. This thing
meatball between the ears,
right? That people will talk about when they want to get better in the bedroom. They talk about like, oh, where's the G spot? How do I stimulate the clitoris properly? How do I get an orgasm through penetration? And it's like, okay, you can learn all these things, but also understand that this is what kind of drives a lot of it. This is something you can tap into, which is going to really ratchet up and dial up her arousal levels and her emotional experience even before the bedroom or during foreplay or during the act of sex itself.
How much of it is mental game, would you say?
In terms of like the whole act of sex? Well,
setting up to getting to intimacy, like how much mental game is there involved? Is it a lot? Is it a little bit?
I mean, setting up to intimacy, it's a large part of it. I mean, could we talk about like being holding frame, being perceived as high value, right? These are all like what I look at it as like, okay, how can you like adjust her perceptions of reality, and how can you, the guy who can like control her emotions in any way, right? Especially before they've actually had sex, and before, like, this helps you meet up with a girl, for example. Like if you can somehow subtly like manipulate. I don't like using the word manipulate. Manipulation, some people think it's a dirty word. I don't think it's a dirty word. I use the words like manipulation and persuasion.
We can call it influence, right?
Yeah, okay, influence, cool.
Yeah.
If you can influence her emotions prior to meeting up, she's going to want to meet up with you more. It's going to make her more likely to want to meet up with you. And that is what can give you a lot of value in her eyes, because most dudes are boring as hell. I don't want to swear on your channel. I remember your channel's kind of like PJ. So most dudes are way too freaking boring.
Yeah.
Either just chatting in real life or texting, or
they're very basic. They're very basic. Like I find, with a lot of women that they'll often complain about how basic the conversations are that they have with guys. Like they don't know how to stimulate them, before the actual meetup.
It's a little bit of a lack of creativity, a little bit of lack of imagination. And if you can tap into that imagination of hers, if you can tap into like being mysterious, for example, is a fantastic way.
Can you give us an example of like
that little hamster wheel ring? Well, it's like one of the things I actually give this as an example. So in this video course I'm dropping, I not only do I talk about like dirty talk, I also talk about a bunch of different stuff you can do verbally prior to meeting up with her, and when you meet up with her on the date, that are more likely to lead you towards sex. Mm-hmm. One of the things I talk a lot about voice notes and the power of voice notes in this course.
Yes.
One of the things, I give you an exact,
my man,
a verbatim example.
Voice notes are very powerful.
Well, let's talk about that. So,
Yeah.
voice note, especially on Instagram, especially on this, my personal the way I play it is like I match on a dating app, and then I get the Instagram. I move to my Instagram because my Instagram is structured very well. It's structured deliberately to like make a woman go, "Damn, this guy."
That guy's an
And so,
interesting man. I want
yeah,
to see
and
what's
she
going
can't
on.
read. She's like, what's he about?
Yeah.
But when you send a woman a voice note on Instagram, here's what happens. When you look through your Instagram DMs, you can see the first line of text without even opening it, right? When you just scroll through your DM. I mean, you know this because you get a lot of DMs.
Yeah.
But if there's if it's just,
you know what? I
says,
haven't seen a voice note. Do me a favor, just grab your phone and send me a quick voice note, just so I can see the difference in my DMs. Because this will be an interesting experiment. Because most of my DMs mention in a story, sent.
I'm sending you the voice note, Rich.
All right, let's see what you got. And there it is. Sterling Cooper sent a voice message, whereas everything else is sent, mentioned in a story, sent, and text. Sending a voice message is different because you can't read the preview. You actually have to click it and open and listen to it.
Bingo. And that's what I mean by being mysterious. That is a subtle bit of mystery. It's curious. It's tapping into that curiosity of hers, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I can read what this guy said. Simpy message. I love you. You're my queen. Blah blah blah. voice note. What's this guy said? Click. And here's the even better part. If you're in the message requests section, she has to click it. It says the voice note. She has to accept it to listen to it,
to play it.
So then you're in her inbox. You're no longer in the DM request section. Now you're in her inbox. And then she's listening to the message. She's like, and most guys don't have the balls to send a voice note. They really don't. It's a more of a bold move, right?
Now, some guys might argue, well, Sterling, you have an advantage. You have a charming Australian accent.
That is true.
So what would you say to those guys that have the average run of the mill from LA, Miami, New York, Toronto sort of accent?
Well, first of all, I'd say you're absolutely right. I have a fantastic and very charming voice. Second of all, I'd say that's okay. That is, if you are in a different country or something, even if you're in a different state with a Texan accent in like New York or something, right? Even a slightly different accent can be an advantage. So yeah, it is an advantage. I'm gonna deny that, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do this. Because there's so much more you can convey through voice than you can convey through text. You can convey inflection. I can say, if I could say something in text, and she could completely misinterpret it as me either being too needy or maybe being a bit aggressive or maybe being a bit insulting. But if I send that as a voice note with a cheeky inflection in my voice, she gets that I'm fucking around. She gets that I'm having a joke. Right, and she's like, this guy's got a sense of humor. This guy's kind of cocky. This guy's kind of funny. This guy's got a bit of swagger to him, and you're demonstrating so much more about your personality than you can via text.
And you stand out because she gets loads and loads of texts and DMs, and it's all very vanilla. Like one of the things that I used to do is, you've got to use what you have to your advantage. Like Sterling has a cheeky, interesting Australian accent. For me, I sound like everybody else in Toronto, but what I would do is I'd often make the call in my car while I was driving, and all my cars sound amazing. They don't sound boring or like Priuses. They sound awesome. So I'd make the call while I was driving, give it a little bit of, like while you're going, leave a quick message, with a little bit of an instruction. You can be cheeky, sometimes dirty if it's necessary, but nobody does that. Most people will not do that. But the voice note strategy that you're talking about there on Instagram is quite a bit better because not everybody checks voicemails anymore. People check text messages very quickly, and they check their DMs very quickly. But like you illustrated just there and now, and you guys are going to try this now, just see what it looks like. You can try it out with friends if you have to. But send a voice note, just see how that pops, see how that stands out.
And you can do it. And you can do it via if you're texting with a girl as well. You can do it like iPhone to text. iPhone to iPhone. You can literally record. I don't think you can do it from iPhone to Samsung, but you can definitely go from iPhone to iPhone with a voice.
I know you can do it on WhatsApp, can't you?
Oh, and you can definitely do it on WhatsApp if you have WhatsApp.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do voice messages on Samsung. I do have a voice message icon on it. It's not unique to Android, so it works on iPhone too.
There you go. But again, it's you just play to your, like anything you can do to like stand out and play to your strengths is is so going to separate you from the rest of the crowd.
You know what? I got to show you guys this video that I uploaded to Twitter earlier. It came off TikTok, but it was this girl that was bragging. Here, let me show it up on the screen. Share.
Oh,
you might have seen this today.
This was on your Twitter feed, wasn't it?
Yeah, you might have seen this today. Let me Chrome tab, share audio, Twitter. Let's see here. Okay, so here she is. And let me just turn up some volume here. Okay, hang on. It's not. Hang on.
Goodnight Queen number 79.
I'll get you there. Well, I mean, you got to hear her go off on this because it's just too funny. All right. Is this going to play for me? Come on, StreamYard.
How good does my apartment look, by the way? Look at this shit.
Look
at this shit, guys.
It looks great. It really does look great. Okay, here we go.
I have proof that if he wanted to, he would. I don't even know this guy. This guy has been sending me Goodnight Queen every single night since May. Every single night. Goodnight Queen, Goodnight Queen. I'm really attached to it now. Sometimes if I don't get a Goodnight Queen, it like hurts my feelings. Sometimes I say goodnight back. Sometimes. Goodnight Queen, Goodnight Queen. But this has lasted longer than some of my relationships. I feel like everyone deserves.
This is literally the strategy that a lot of guys use. Like, this is not unique. Like, this is not like an oddball or an outlier. This is a lot more common than what a lot of guys understand, right?
Yeah.
So, being able to stand out from that nonsense as a guy that has a confident, strong, masculine voice, and if you have a great, strong, deep voice, use it, right? I mean, definitely use it. I used to have this girl that called me the radio voice. She just called me on the phone. I'm like, I don't want to talk on the phone. Like, I'm not sitting here on the phone so you can listen to my voice, right? But it's really powerful to use a voice message. Like, that's the point that I'm trying to convey. So what you're talking about absolutely works. I co-sign that. What's the extent of the depth of the dirty talk that you can go to? Like,
you mean in voice notes, or do you mean in general?
I think in general, leading up to the first event of intimacy. So let's deal with that.
I actually don't recommend guys going, like, people have asked me about like sexting, for example.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever sex with women? And I personally am against anything that is sort of overt like that before you've actually had sex with her the first time, because it comes across, at least for me, it comes across as like too forward, too thirsty. Like lack of options. You're that guy who's just sort of trying to sext back and forth with a chick, especially, and this is the caveat I'll make to this rule of mine. If you can't seal the deal that night with that girl, then all you're doing is giving her a ton of attention, ramping up her emotions, and then you're sitting there with your dick in your hand, and nothing happened. And the other thing that's happening is that if the logistics don't work out where she can come to your place that night, or you can go to her place that night, the other thing that's probably going to happen is she's going to go on her phone. She's horny. You've made her all horny. She's going to go on her phone, find Chad,
yep,
the guy who's the closest dude who she has on rotation as a fuck buddy, and he's going to come over and bang her, and you just made his job even easier. So all you're really doing is setting her up for somebody else. Right.
There are no single women, gentlemen. Don't think for a minute that she doesn't have a Rolodex. Rolodex is such an old word. She doesn't have other options.
Showing your age, Rich.
Clearly I am, aren't I?
But so my personal rule and my advice for guys is, like, I avoid sexting before you've actually had sex with her the first time, under that one exception. If you can seal the deal that night, if she's amplifying it more than you are, and you can check her logistics, like, hey, what are you doing tonight? How far away are you? So, like, come get a drink. And then, like, she's coming over. Okay, cool. That's fine. Seal the deal. Go capitalize on it. But that is the sort of the rare exception to that rule. I would, however, say that, okay, you've had sex with a girl the first time. Prior to the second or third date, the kind of language I teach guys in this course, which you can use in a bedroom, you can absolutely still use the same language via text during the daytime prior to coming over for the second or third date, because then the whole day is basically foreplay, and so she's getting amped up and amped up and amped up, and then when she walks in the door, you're just ripping each other's clothes off. And I know this because I've done this a few times. So that is the exception. That is the real, for me at least, that's my main use for like sexting, is just to like, I don't want to like have her come over and we'll like chill on the couch and then we'll start to like get hot and heavy. I'm like, okay, if she's coming over today, I'm gonna like ramp her up beforehand so that when she's here, it's like bam, bam, we're down to business like straight away. So.
Is there any instruction given leading up to the first date? Hey, wear that black dress in the third picture.
I always tell girls not to wear jeans. That is my ironclad rule. I will be like, come here, wear a skirt or a dress. Don't wear jeans. I fucking hate when girls wear jeans. And the reason I don't like when girls wear jeans is because they're harder to take off.
This is true. What about panties?
It's much, well, look, if she wants to wear panties or not, that's entirely up to her. But
so there's no instruction leading up to the first on that.
I won't. If I told a girl don't wear panties on the first date, I would kind of interpret that as like a kind of that sort of sexting route, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to keep her in that. I want to keep her in that place of like, does he like me? Does he not like me? Like how much does he like me? I want to keep her guessing a little bit.
So realistically, it's more of a compliance test just to see that she's going to show up not wearing jeans.
Yeah, man. Just because I personally find them a pain in the ass to take off, but if I'm going to have sex with her,
Yeah.
I'd much rather take her out and have her on a skirt and a dress, take her out on this balcony, and then whip her dress up, and we'll have some fun that way while I'm whispering some dirty shit in her ear. You know?
Are you guys seeing that my friend has been in the adult entertainment industry for a little while?
Like, I should be in jail right now because I entertained a young lady on that balcony last night for the whole world to see. And I'm pretty sure that one of my neighbors.
You won't be the first, and definitely not the last in Miami, my friend.
Yeah, so hopefully I can avoid some kind of public indecency charge. We'll see. You'll know if I haven't, if I don't hear from me for a while.
Yeah, and here, guys, I'm going to grab Sterling's link for his course if you're interested.
I'll just let everybody know that it's this week. It's on pre-order until the 27th of November, and so it's 50% off if you order it before the 27th of November. So you can save yourself $200. This week only, it's $197. Full price is $399. So after the 27th, it jumps up to $399. So get your hands on it this week, and you'll save yourself $200.
Pretty cheap. I skimmed through a lot of the material, and I thought it was really good.
Thank you.
And there's an actual demonstration towards the end.
Yes, I have cut some demo clips from it, and I don't know. You keep your channel pretty PG. So I don't know if we can play any of those on your channel. I played them on other guys' channels, but I don't know if I can play them on your channel.
Well, we'll leave the mystery there for them to figure out if they.
Yeah, but basically, what Richard's referring to is I spend the whole course like teaching you my frameworks for dirty talk, and then at the end I have a demonstration video where I have a young lady with me, and all I'm doing is whispering dirty shit in her ear, and I'm just lightly playing with her clitoris off camera, so you can't actually see that, but that's what I'm doing. And we bring her to orgasm mainly through what I'm stimulating with her in her head. By playing around with these sensations and imaginations in her head, I'm ramping her up and getting her really, really highly aroused to the point where I basically tell her to orgasm. And then she's like a good little girl. She daddy's good girl. She complies and orgasms when I tell her to.
So best-selling books of all time. Da Vinci Code, Harry Potter, and right near the top is 50 Shades of Grey. Shocking, right? So
what a surprise!
Yeah, to the point. Smut.
Wait, is the Bible not counted in that list?
I think it excludes the Bible simply because it's a religious text.
Fine.
But you need to understand the power of language and conversation, because like you said early on, like the meatball between your ears, the meatball between a woman's ears is her most important sex organ leading up to the event of intimacy. So don't discount it. I mean, they dig it, trust me. I mean, you look at the book sales, the numbers are right there. There is no lie. I wish we could.
I get you get a lot of guys who will sort of message me and write me in and be like, I don't know if I can be that dominant guy. I don't know if I can.
You absolutely can.
If I could, ever do that kind of stuff. Or I'll get guys who are like, who might think my wife wouldn't like that. My girlfriend is too pure and too innocent and too much of a princess. She wouldn't like that. Look, if she has ever read any kind of romance novel, I guarantee you she has some degree of perverted thoughts going on in her head. Like, men are way more like horny and want sex all the time. Women are more perverted. So the things that they want out of sex tend to be a lot darker and more twisted than what most dudes are into, or what most dudes fantasize about, at least.
I don't know if you remember this, but I put that in my book. There was a study done, I think, by Google engineers on search engine habits, and the top search results for women looking for kink, into the dirty talk sort of area, I think was vampires, werewolves, pirates, surgeons, and billionaires. Powerful men that can do interesting things with great reach, yield, and influence. So
and dangerous men too.
Dangerous, yeah. Dangerous. Women love a dangerous guy that can be civilized. They want to feel safe, but they want to know that you're dangerous at the same time. So you have to have some dirty side to it.
I take that a step further, and I say all the time that demonstrating the capacity. I'll emphasize that the capacity for violence actually demonstrates that you can keep her safe and you can protect her.
Correct.
Because there's a big difference between being peaceful and being harmless. Those are two different things.
Yeah, this is a Jordan Peterson thing. Peaceful.
Yeah, like a dude who's peaceful can actually is withholding his ability for violence. He has the ability for violence, but he's not using it. A dude who's harmless can't even conjure up violence if he wanted to. And so when we're tapping into these things, like being more dominant in the bedroom, being more commanding with our language, telling her what to do in the bedroom, for example, we're tapping into that more dominant part of the masculine sexual energy, which is what she resonates with. That's what she's looking for, because it demonstrates you have that more dangerous side, which is the capacity to protect her and keep her safe eventually, and her kids can after the fact once you impregnate her with your seed.
Given that the podcast is called The Unplugged Alpha and it's based on the book, why do you think it is that so many men are plugged into the notion of just being the good guy and being respectful and not being the dirty talker, whereas some other guy, right around the corner, Kevin from sales or Steve from accounting, whispers in her ear one day by the vending machine when there's nobody in the lunchroom? Why do you think those guys get it and the average Joe doesn't?
Because the average Joe has been indoctrinated with Hallmark movies. The average Joe has watched too many fucking... Sorry to swear on your show again, Ron. Too many rom-coms and too many goddamn romantic comedies. Like, even what was that one with Will Smith? Was it called Hitch?
Hitch, that was it.
Where he was like the dating coach and the fat dude was just simping over like whatever her name was, and then I'm like, that's a perfect example of this retarded narrative of like, if I'm just a nice guy long enough, if I just treat her like a princess, then eventually she'll come around. No, she won't. She'll completely ignore you at best, or she'll take advantage of you and use you for your time and your resources, and she'll shack up with like you said, Joe from accounting or whatever.
Steve's from accounting. Kevin's from sales.
Oh, okay, fine. All right. I don't work a corporate job.
It's been a while for you. Did you ever work a corporate job, by the way?
I worked a lab job.
A lab job, like in a laboratory.
Yeah, I used to be. I was an industrial chemist for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, so I used to work in a lab, and
you kind of still are now. Now you're just an industrial chemist on the side, the side with the brain chemistry.
Sure, I don't see how you made that connection, but okay.
Oh, bro, I can connect anything, man. I know how the dots work. Let me just see if we got anything here in the chat that I might have missed out on, because I know you got to run in like 15 minutes, right?
I can go to like 9 o'clock.
Okay. I'm gonna drop the call-in link for you guys as well tonight too. So if there's anybody that has questions on Q&A,
nice.
We'll be able to take some of that as well. Stocky United.
While you have a look at that, I'll plug a few more things about my course while you're looking for that. So I've snuck a few things into this course that most guys probably wouldn't expect in a course on dirty talking. So obviously I talk about how to dirty talk. I talk about how to improve your delivery. I talk about how to get a deeper voice. I talk about a few different frameworks that you can use for creating your own ideas for dirty talk, as well as stealing verbatim like my own lines that I use in the bedroom all the time. But there's also a couple of things in here which you might not expect, and that is dirty talk is one, it's a tool for amping up a woman's arousal in the bedroom. Obviously, most people understand that. But it's also a tool for improving your own self-esteem and your own confidence in the bedroom, because your language dictates your belief system. And if you can I mean, affirmations are a great example of that, and most people would probably be familiar with the idea of affirmations. But if you're in the bedroom and you're saying these more perverted or dominant or commanding things to a woman, that subtly over time starts to reinforce this self-belief that you are that more dominant, quote unquote, alpha kind of guy. And I think that's a lot of dudes come to me with this question of like, how do I be more confident in the bedroom? And this is exactly how, in my opinion, this is probably the fastest way to do that, is to start playing around with this kind of language, which puts you in charge, puts you in the lead, in control of the sexual situation, and she follows and does what daddy tells her to. And then the other thing I suddenly snuck into this course is that, well, the third thing that Dirty Talk can do for you is reinforce and establish good frames in your relationship dynamic with a woman. So, as an example, one of the things I show in this course is me commanding, telling this in this demo clip. I tell this girl, "You wouldn't dare come without my permission. Now, would you?" And she says, "No, of course not." The subtle frame I've just established there is that she does what I tell her to, and then I go on to say something like, "That's right, because this pussy belongs to me," and that is another little subtle frame that I own her, and I own her sexually. I own her pussy, and so if you backwards rational, or start from where you want to be, like what kind of woman do you want to be in a relationship with, and work backwards, like what qualities would she have? Well, doing what you tell her to and being sexually exclusive to you would be pretty high up on that list, I would imagine, for most men. And Dirty Talk is a really, really subtle and fun for both you and her way to subtly embed these ideas and these frames into her subconscious. And so Dirty Talk is a lot more powerful than most guys realize.
To Moff's point here, how much of this is a journey? Like, is there a storyline, an arc that you bring?
I will describe like future scenarios to her. I'll tap into her imagination and get her to imagine. So, say for example, if I have some perverted, twisted fantasy that I want her to indulge with me, I will preface that on, date 2 or 3 and start subtly dripping it into her head so that we will do it later on. A good example of that would be, I like girls who are bisexual, who I can have a threesome with, right? So I will subtly tell this, maybe not so subtly, but I'll whisper in her ear something like, "Imagine if I had you tied up in that corner and you were watching me with another woman. How turned on would that make you?" And I'm saying this while I'm having sex with her. So I'm painting this future picture of and I'm eroticizing the idea of her getting off watching me with another woman and then her joining in with that. So I can.
Has that ever turned a straight woman bi for you?
I wouldn't say it's. I think every woman is basically kind of bi. There's very few women that are like 100% straight, in my opinion. They're either like, when dudes think they're looking for like a bisexual chick, they think they're looking for a woman who actually has dated like chicks before. Mm-hmm. And then that's actually a small subset of women. Then there's a tiny subset who are purely straight, and then there's everybody else in between who's like flexible. or is at least willing to share your penis with another woman. And I'm totally happy with that extent of bisexuality. If that's all she wants to do, then that is totally fine by me, because I get 2 vaginas.
Right. And I mean, like, generally speaking, most women are receptive to this. I mean, if they have genuine desire for you, it's highly. I mean, you could pull a librarian with the hair bun and the librarian glasses with a little vest out of the library and think that she's a prude, but she's a lady in the street and a freak in the sheets. Mm-hmm. Like, it's widely regarded, I think, by most guys, with any level of experience, that almost all women are receptive to it if it's delivered timely and at the right degree. I mean, timely is the biggest part of it all, right? And you talk about the when to deliver it and how to in that course. I mean, I saw a few elements in it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when it comes to delivery, like I talk about inflection and keeping your tone at like a neutral or a rapport breaking inflection when you're delivering. No, you don't want to go in there and be like, "How you doing? Like when you're delivering your joke, you don't want to turn to Mickey Mouse, obviously. But that is one thing. Obviously, a deeper vocal tone always helps. I personally do a lot of whispering stuff, but occasionally I'll mix it up, and occasionally I'll be more kind of commanding and like delivering lines at a regular vocal tone, or even shouting them. She thinks Stirling's an idiot. Oh,
let's do this. Let's drop the join link. Join link for Charles and his wife, or let's just say, for the wife.
For the wife.
For the wife. So Charles, there's a join link for your wife. She can have a word with Stirling right now. Do you have a response for Mr. Hamill's wife?
She hasn't really elaborated why I'm an idiot.
Why do you think?
I don't really know. Look, maybe she doesn't like the idea of me telling her husband that he might be able to have another woman in the bedroom with him.
Aha!
It's entirely possible that might have set her off.
That could be it. Yeah. Anyway, there's a link, Charles, if you want to have the missus click it and join us on this one. We'll chop it up. I have somebody that just joined, but I don't think that's Mrs. Charles. It looks like somebody else that clicked the link.
Does not look like a Mrs.
We'll take the Q&A from you guys when when we get to it. I was just dropping that invite there for Charles's missus. So if she wants to come in and have a little conversation about why she thinks Stirling's being an idiot or an idiot. Let's find out why.
I've gotten comments about like that on the one thing on TikTok. We were talking about this before we went live.
Yeah,
is that on my TikTok? I basically just take what I do on YouTube and I like chop it up into little bits and I put it on my TikTok, and I get all the sex advice stuff I put out on TikTok is like all the women are agreeing with me and be like, yes, this thing. And the other half is like guys who are clearly simps or clearly indoctrinated, like I said, with this Hallmark movie kind of narrative, being like, yeah, right, that would get me in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other exception to that rule is that I put out a couple of videos talking about, look, a man can like sleep with, like, can love one woman and he can sleep with another woman, and it's totally fine. And
you know what though? He
drove him nuts. That absolutely drove him crazy.
You know what though? Guys that say that are probably right, just in the regard that if they said it with the mindset that they have, the way that they approach women, it probably would land them in jail the way that they would say it. If a guy that she wants to be with, that she has, an eye for, it won't. I promise you.
There's an old cartoon I've seen of that, like two guys, like
the
fat guy walking up, and then the Chad
guy
the
HR
up.
girl or something like that. She's like, HR and being sexually harassed is just some nerd that she doesn't want to see. And then the Chad comes around the corner. She's like all melting over the guy.
Well, I'll say, like, here's the thing, because like I do agree with what you're saying there, but it's like, to the guys who are kind of, if I teach guys, say to say something maybe a little bit humiliating or degrading to a woman in the bedroom, or if I teach guys to be a bit heavy, shall we say, just more heavy-handed in the bedroom with a woman, right? They worry that they're going to get a sexual assault charge, and the thing is, the interesting thing is, I ain't the guy getting a sexual assault charge, and I'm the one doing that stuff. I ain't the guy getting a HR. I mean, I'm not doing it with people I work with. Well, yeah, kind of, but I'm not getting like a workplace sexual assault allegation charge. But it's the kind of guy who is incongruent with it. He's the one who's getting it. The one who is trying it, but he doesn't sort of fully commit to it. He doesn't fully believe that he's doing.
He doesn't believe it. Yeah,
he doesn't believe what he's doing. He's half stepping, and because he's half stepping, he's incongruent. And incongruence is really just chick talk for creepy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It's a disconnect between what you're thinking, what you're speaking, and what you're doing. If those things aren't aligned, like who you believe you are, who you're portraying yourself to be, if they're not aligned, then women can pick up on that very, very easily, because they're way better than men for the most part at picking up on subtle little cues in body language.
Yeah,
and that translates to incongruency and creepiness.
Yeah, I agree. Let me see who we got here in the private chat. We got Sam, Caleb. Let's see what Sam's got for us here. Guys, when you come into the private chat, and here, let me just drop the link again. Copy to clipboard. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Come in and ask Q. And I'm going to pin this to the top of YouTube in the live chat for those of you that may miss it coming in. But it's always there. So make sure you hit the subscription button, the notification bell. Actually, dude, I have to do one thing before I go and take Q&A. I'm not the greatest at running my shows. I wish I had a producer, but here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a little commercial break because this is how we pay bills, or that's what I'm told anyway. Let me get to it right here. And share. Don't need any audio. So as you guys should be aware, I have a new supplement product line. It's been out for a bit, but you can, in fact, get it now. There's a ticker below, right there. It's over my shoulder on the shelf. It's all organized by estrogen metabolism. Oh, you can't see it. It doesn't show it up on the screen. It shows it on mine, but it's organized by estrogen metabolism. So if you're shaped like a pear, you've got man boobs, you need to get rid of excess body fat, you'd want to get those supplements. There's a fat burn supplement, foundational essentials like essential oils and vitamin D-K mixes. You don't have to have these separated anymore. They're now in one product, which is a beauty. Immune health and support, zinc, NAC, and a vitamin C product. We've got Performance Pump, which is a nitrous oxide. Stirling will co-sign that because, in fact, in your book about bedroom fun, you mentioned L-arginine and L-citrulline, and those are a few of the products that are in the pump product. I mean, It's really designed for bodybuilding pump, but it works on your blood vessels all throughout your body, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it works everywhere.
We've got paleoprotein, aminos, and the NAC shows up in Performance as well. And you've got testosterone support, which is vitamin DK, a testosterone booster, and a zinc product. So you guys check those all out. They're available in my store today. It is below at theunpluggedalpha.com. And if you use coupon code alpha10 at checkout, you get yourself 10% off on the first order, or hit subscribe and save. And you don't have to even bother doing the shipping stuff. But let's go to some of these call-ins and see what we got here. Let's see what we got here. Here's go Sammy. All right, Sammy, what do you got for us, buddy?
All right. Well, I just wanted to say, Sterling, you're 100% about the Hallmark thing. Like, I've got, sisters, so that's 100% true. So you were mentioning in a bunch of your other videos that you've been talking about this course coming up that some women are uncomfortable with some certain words. So is it possible that she's maybe just uncomfortable with them with like just starting out, and then you can kind of bring her more comfortable with some of the words? Or how do you escalate to more intense forms of dirty talk over time?
So some of the words, can I even say them on your channel, Rich?
Just water them down a bit.
So I'll try to water them down. So some of the words I've mentioned before about that can be kind of triggering to women. CUNT, that's one that some women can take kind of offense to. WHORE is another one that some women can take offense to. Things like dumb, lazy, fat, oddly enough, not surprisingly, can be kind of offensive to a lot of women. And in my experience, that tends to be because it's from a past experience, either like during adolescence, childhood, whatever it is, like where like a father figure called her that, some bully called her that. So she's got it's ingrained in her psyche that this is like a triggering word. This word like sets her off, and she hates to be identified with that. So if that kind of is already there in her psyche, it's not really something I would even bother to try and like work up to, because there's so many, the English language is so varied. So there's so many other different words you can use in place of that. You just need to look at a thesaurus. You just need to get a little bit creative. And you can, instead of using that specific word, because there's no real benefit to like using the word WHORE versus the word SLUT.
Especially if she doesn't like it. Yeah,
there's no real difference. So just pick the one that's actually going to get her off and have her engaging and enjoying it. Mm-hmm. So that's way better than trying to sort of fit a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly saying like, oh, if she doesn't like it but you do, well, like, like kind of like pull her into it. I'm not really talking about that. I'm more just talking about like, say she's not comfortable with the certain levels of the dirty talk, like how you gave the example of kind of the future idea of her liking to share you with multiple women.
Yep.
Maybe she doesn't want to do that like immediately. How do you like escalate it over time to get to that point?
The way you would escalate it to that point is you break it down into chunks, right? So maybe so that was like a pretty extreme. I push the envelope when I can, right? Because I know what the hell I want. So I'm like, I'm not going to waste time with like a chick who's not on board with my game plan. But if you could break that down, let's say, how would I say this idea of bisexuality down. Well, maybe we might start with, I would flip it on the script. I'm having sex with her. Imagine if there was a woman in that corner right now touching herself, watching us. Watching how sexy we are together. That is a little bit different, right? But I've added another woman into this imaginary scenario in her head. I've added another woman there. And this imaginary woman is getting off watching us. So I'm tapping into her sort of exhibitionist side. Okay, we've just eroticized something, which a lot of women will have kind of in their mind sometimes, which is this idea of exhibitionism, showing off, like being watched, right? It's very, very common. So we're playing with that. But we've also added a woman into that scenario instead of, say like a dude sitting there playing with himself. So we've added a woman to that scenario. So that might be a nice starting point. And then we can start to this is something I would say if you deliberately wanted to get to that point, you'd take a minute away from her outside the bedroom and think, okay, what would I baby step this through? What are the little subtle pieces I can string together in this narrative to eventually get to this point if she's not quite there yet? And that would be an example of that.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, gentlemen. Awesome as always, Rich.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, if you have any apprehension about going or leaning into dirty talk or whether or not she's going to like it, just don't even read 50 Shades of Grey. Just watch the movie. Just get an idea of what goes on, because that's really just the tip of the iceberg, right? It goes a lot deeper than that. We have to try to keep it, YouTube family. We're not even family friendly, but like YouTube friendly sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to try to keep this like YouTube conversation, at a certain level. But trust us, yeah. That's.
I would even say if guys want to like learn how to use that kind of language, I personally recommend dudes go and look for erotic short story. Just Google erotic short stories, because there's tons of like websites and forums which have user written in little erotic short stories, and look for ones that are written by women with a female author. And then you it's like a couple of pages, and then you start to like see the language that women will use to describe their own fantasies.
Here, let me. I was talking to Rollo about this once. Let me put this up on the screen to kind of give you some frame around, the mind of a woman. Video file. Let me remove that. Stop. Share. Window. Chrome tab. So this is Amazon. This is an actual book for sale on Amazon. And for those of you that are listening to the podcast recording in audio format, it says "Come for Bigfoot" Volume 1 by Virginia Wade. So there's 4 other volumes added to Volume 1 that have been sold. This is just one basic example and idea of what drives arousal and attraction with women. Like, it's not as basic and Disney-esque and Hallmark card as you think it is. It really is.
And at least 109 people have bought this book.
They have for the most part agreed that it is a good read. David unfortunately didn't like it, but KJ Hardy and Donna found it to be an awesome read. So you guys get the idea. Like, books like that are not for David. They're for Donna.
That's amazing.
My shows are always entertaining, man. I got you. We got a lady that would like to have a conversation. We got Jenna back here. So let's see what Jenna's got for us.
How you doing, Jenna?
Hey, Sterling. How are you?
Fantastic.
The reason I was calling is because I actually think this is such an important conversation. I find that one of the biggest killers in the mood, like when you're trying to set a mood, is a guy who can't really help you get there because he can't use his words effectively. So one of the things, like I was the one who super chatted earlier. I actually do phone for a living. So like I come across it a lot, and I think what you're doing is so important because there's something.
That's you, Lena?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a phone sex operator?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I spend a lot of time listening to men's fantasies. So learning how to just kind of articulate certain things in certain ways, it works the same way with women. Like you were talking about it earlier, like the thing with being called daddy. We like the dominance aspect that you were talking about. We love that, but not a lot of men are comfortable or confident enough to do it properly. So so when just from a female perspective, instead of a guy like yourself coming in front of me and going, I want you to take off your clothes and I want you to do it now. When you do it with your confidence, my response is going to be, yes, daddy. If somebody else does it, I'm going to be like, oh, okay.
But he wouldn't say it like, and he wouldn't say it like I would, Jenna. He'd be like, take your,
yeah,
can you take your clothes off? He'd have that hesitation in his voice.
Exactly. I experience it all the time. And you would even think that when men are paying for a chance to live out their fantasy with you, that they would have a little more confidence doing it. Even in those cases, you would be surprised how little imagination the average person has.
Yep.
Or the average male has. But I really appreciate what you're offering.
Thank you. Can I ask you something? I want to ask you a question, because I've asked this question to porn stars that I've interviewed before. How, if you're in bed with a man, and he forget even that he's not dirty talking, right? If he makes absolutely no noise in the bedroom, how does that make you feel?
That is one of the biggest mood killers you could possibly imagine. Guys, I'm not even, if there's one thing, the same way that you guys want a response from us, we want a response from you. So a guy who's like pounding away and like, you could tell that this is like his first shot at sex in a really long time. It's so uncomfortable. Like, you would be surprised how little you guys have to actually do to show us that you're interested in us sexually. So for example, there is nothing more, at least for me, there's nothing sexier for me than like if you're laying on your back, he's right on top of you and he just leans into your ear and all you hear is fuck.
Yeah.
That's enough.
This because there are so many guys who are even shy about just moaning and groaning in the bedroom.
It's so uncomfortable.
Taking it to dirty talk.
It makes you so uncomfortable. It makes you so insecure, and also a lot.
Can you say that? Sorry to try to like hamper on the point, but it makes you feel insecure? Is that correct, Jenny?
Yeah, because it's have you ever watched the show Sons of Anarchy?
No, I have not.
There's a line in it that the mother says, and it's very, very true. Men want to know that you love them, and women want to know that you want them. We want to feel wanted, and when you don't kind of give us that response, especially since, like, face it, the majority of women, we live our lives feeling very insecure. And sex brings out most of our insecurities. That's why after a certain age, a lot of us want to have sex with the lights off, because we have a lot of things going on with us. So little things, especially if you're the strong silent type, just moaning a little something in her ear, just a little bit of just something. Like I personally enjoy dirty talk, and I've always been good at it. That's part of how I got into what I do now. But it's amazing how little you guys communicate. And I think a lot of that bleeds into your relationship problems too.
Jenna, do you know any women that don't like dirty talk?
There is the only women who don't like dirty talk are women who are genuinely, and I mean this, dead inside.
Well, thank you for the glowing recommendation, Jenna.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you, Sterling.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
It's always good to have a woman call in on the show.
That's
good. Ladies, the show's open for everybody. Young, old, man, woman. Feel free. It's
and the reason I asked Jenna that question was because when I have asked female porn stars the exact same question, they've said basically the exact. She mentioned this idea of making her feel insecure. They've used similar language. They've said things like, "If he's not making any noise at all, I don't think he likes me."
Right.
Even though his erect penis is inside of her.
Yeah.
She still isn't. She's like insecure about that because you're not expressing your desire and your enjoyment of her.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about noise and the volume and the intensity of it is like women are generally louder than men. I think the term is female copulatory vocalization from Evo Psych.
Yes.
And we can get into all those reasons some other time, but you don't want to be silent. I mean, you don't want to go beyond her, but definitely come up to her, you know, when it comes to your volume and intensity level. Don't sit there like a mute.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And look, if you need to start, if that is like bare minimum starting point for guys is like, okay, learn to be expressive and moan and groan a little bit. Like I do this thing where I friggin' growl during sex, and I don't even know I'm doing it. I've had so many girls call me out on it. Like, they'll say they're not making fun of me. They'll say, "I love the way you growl," and I'm like, "I do what?" And I don't even know I'm doing it.
Have you seen Eddie Murphy's stand up? I think it was in Delirious where he was talking about that part of the sequence. Did you ever see that stand up?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to see it. Go watch Eddie Murphy Delirious. You're gonna love it. It's an old '80s one, but it still stands true today, right? I mean, like, get it right through your head, guys. That if you want to have a good experience with women, if you want to have them coming back for more, if you want to lean into areas that are fun and entertaining and erotic, you have to get playful, right? Like you can't cookie cut it. And you know, the guys that get into the cookie cutter type of relationships and the very vanilla type of sexual intimacy and the encounters, they don't generally last that long. I mean, you're not getting her best, you know, you're just getting. And that's very different from getting her best.
And once you start practicing this stuff, you will start enjoying it as much, if not more, than she does. Like the act of engaging in that is going to be fun and enjoyable for you and arousing for you just as much as it is for her.
Yeah.
So you're leaving so much on the table.
Yeah. Let's see what Caleb's got for us over here.
I've got a couple of minutes I can stick around for.
All right, Caleb, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's up? Nice to meet both of y'all. Actually, I've read your book several times, Rich, and I recently just started watching your channel, Stirling. So thank you for all the information for all men out there. I'm actually very young. I'm 18, and I've never had any sort of relationship. God knows no sex or anything like that. And I was wondering if y'all had any like specific tips for going in to hopefully make it the best possible experience I can have
for your first experience.
Yes, sir.
So I actually did an entire video on this recently on my YouTube channel.
Really?
Yeah. I'll give you a real brief summary of it, though.
Okay.
And my brief summary, I actually posted it last week, so go check it out.
Okay.
But the main point is.
What's the title of the video? I'll
it's
look
called
it up and drop
Advice for Virgins.
Advice for Virgins.
Right. I think I watched it. I think I watched some of it. I'm not sure if I watched the entire thing.
But the crux of it is basically, sex is a learnable skill, just like anything.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to make you feel subconscious, but you're probably gonna suck at it.
Yeah, I completely understand that.
And that is fine. That is totally okay. Here's the thing that you do bring to the table, though, Caleb. You can bring enthusiasm,
right?
Because it's your first time experiencing this. So be enthusiastic. Embrace that enthusiasm, because that is like Jenna. You were just hearing Jenna say before. Like women want to feel like lusted after, especially like if they're in the bedroom with a guy they find attractive, they want to feel that energy. So you can provide that for her, even though you might not know your way around her body, you might not know what buttons to push or whatever, you might be a little bit nervous or whatever, but you can absolutely 100% bring your enthusiasm. And just if anything awkward happens, just learn to laugh it off.
Right.
Like I think I say in that video.
Lots of awkward stuff happens in the bedroom.
Yeah, like cool. If you, for example, if you or her are wearing jeans, this is why I fucking hate jeans. If you and her are wearing jeans, one of you is going to have trouble getting them off.
It's going to take like 20 minutes just to.
Exactly, that is going to happen. So laugh it off, and if you can go into that interaction with enthusiasm and being able to laugh at the awkwardness, that just takes away the nerves, it takes away the pressure, and so you can make your experience just a far more enjoyable and fun one.
Take away the pressure off your shoulders too, is what I was going to say. Don't beat yourself up over setting up for it.
Right. Oh, by the way, Mr. Stirling, I actually just got the notification for your book for the 30% off for the How I Grew My Thing.
PP.
And so I'm probably going to end up buying that very soon because I'm very interested to read that. So,
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yep. Well, thank you for the answer, Miss Sterling. Thank you for the show, Mr. Rich. And I'll probably be on here as much as I can be.
Thanks, buddy. See you, man.
I've never, I like that. I've never been called Mr. Sterling.
Mr.
before.
Sterling
I
or
like
Mr. Rich. Yeah.
I
Well,
like that.
yeah, there you go. At least we're not calling you other things. I know Sterling's got to run, so real quick shout out. I'll drop the link again in the chat. I'll pin it in the top comment and put it in the description for those that watch the replay. Tell guys what's in the course, who might want to look at it, and who it's not a good fit for.
So the course goes over the basic principles of dirty talk and the psychology behind it and why it works. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a tool for amplifying her emotions and her arousal. It's a tool for reinforcing positive frames, useful frames in your dynamic with her. And it's a tool for improving and boosting your own self-esteem and self-confidence in the bedroom. And then I go over a bunch of stuff that you can apply. Like we talked about voice notes earlier on, a bunch of stuff you can apply before you even meet her to help lead the interaction towards sex, or more likely to lead the interaction towards sex in a reasonable amount of time, a quicker amount of time. And then I go over a bunch of different frameworks for creating your own dirty talk and tapping into her imagination, tapping into her focus of sensations, using language that commands her, getting her to do things, telling her what to do, using language that implies that you own her and she belongs to you. Very, very useful, very powerful dynamic. And then if you want to go that far, even further than that, I also talk about degrading and humiliating language. And then we also give a big demonstration clip of me doing exactly what I teach on a young lady and bringing her to orgasm through language, basically.
Is there anybody that should not buy this course?
Look, if people who do not want to have sex.
All right, there you go.
And I'll say one more thing. I'll say one more time. It's on pre-sale this week until the 27th of November. So you get it for 50% off. It's at $197 for this week. After the 27th of November, it jumps up to $399. So get it before the 27th of November, and you can save yourself $200.
All right, my friend. Thank you for chopping it up with me tonight and joining me. For the show.
Always a good time with you, Rich. I love it.
Yeah, man. We'll do it again. Take care, brother.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Just going to grab a few of these super chats. We'll get to a few more of the questions. Super here from Hex Toys. Oh, actually, that was the member clip. Clip that. There was a £100 super chat from Hex Toys. Thanks for that. Message Junkie says, thank you, Rich and Sterling, for the content you provide. You are saving lives and saving us tools to survive and grow in this world. Supporter for life. Thank you. Appreciate it. The join link, by the way, guys, if you have a question, I'm going to run for another 30 minutes or so. Just click it, join on in. It's open to everybody, young, old, man, woman. Bring whatever you got. Thank you for stopping by. Great stuff. From Josh, thanks for that, bro. All right, let's see what we got here. So those of you that are waiting in the waiting area to come on and ask the question, just in the private chat, let me know what it is that you want to talk about. Just helps me sort through what I'm looking at over here. Great show. And again, the link to join is pinned at the top of YouTube. So if you're watching this somewhere else, head over to YouTube and just click that. And yeah, it's right there. What do we got here for views? We're doing good. Like, dislike. Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, guys, what's going on with the like button? Got a lot of people watching, but not a lot of likes reflecting the watch. The viewers aren't aligned with the likes. Hit that like button. No questions for me, just hanging out. Okay, this is not a hangout room, so I'm just going to remove you just to make space. So if you have a question, click that link. You can watch from YouTube. Please do that. Starting over, getting back on track from Drew. Let's see what Drew's got here for us. Starting over. All right, you're starting over on what, bro? What's going on?
Actually, what's going on is I wasn't necessarily starting over, but I'm kind of at a point where I feel like I'm stuck. And so I'm trying to find, I guess, some things that I can do that can start making me like better income. I mean, I've never really had a problem with getting girls. I've never had a problem, with working out. I'm actually gonna head to the gym here in like 30 minutes. But
what do you do for work right now?
Huh?
What do you do for work right now?
I have two jobs. Actually, I work at a warehouse, unloading planes for FedEx. And then also I deliver and install appliances for a company.
Okay. All right. So what's the ask here? You looking for a side hustle? You looking for something new?
Yeah, I guess just some high income skills I could learn to start possibly making into the six figures. Because I read your book, and I always hear, the one thing that kind of stuck with me was when you said that most alpha men are trying to get to a 7-figure income, or build 7 figures of wealth. And I just feel like I'm doing okay for where I live at, and
How
I'm
old are
making
you?
probably about 50,000 a year, but I would
Okay.
like to start making it to the 6 figures, but possibly.
All right. And how old are you right now?
Right now I'm 33.
And where do you live?
I'm in Texas.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, one of the concepts that I'm building on with my second book, the follow-up to the first book, is going to deal with the wealth creation aspect. If you want to have autonomy over yourself, if you want to have the ability to have, say no to people and events and offers and jobs and gigs, money is a big part of that. There's a reason why they call it FU money. You're generally not going to make it working for somebody else. It's unless you're in a field like high ticket sales, like you're selling yachts or Rolls Royces or McLarens. You're generally not going to get into bank there. Unless you're like a lawyer that has a very high billable rate with a number of years behind you, you specialize in a highly profitable field. I was at this lawyer's house a few years ago in a rally down in the States. I think it was near St. Louis, and his underlying name was the Ferrari collector, and I think he was a mesothelioma lawyer that did class action lawsuits. So you can make serious money. This guy had a mansion with like 30 Ferraris. You can make serious money, in high level areas like that. CEOs, CFOs, CTOs. My personal favorite is entrepreneurship. The barrier to entry, like nobody can say no to you, but the market will say no to you if you suck. So if you don't have something that's worth people buying, that solves serious problems in their lives, that's scalable, that you have control of, you're never going to make money at it. And most people fail at it. Like 9 out of 10 times, you are going to fail. So you've got something going on right now. My recommendation would be to kind of like look around. Maybe there's something in your industry as you're going about your day-to-day activities that's problematic, that's a bottleneck, that's that you see a solution to the problem. Or maybe, another industry that you've kind of tripped across, you can take it from there and apply it to that industry. It's basically called rip off and duplicate. Like R&D doesn't stand for research and development. Rip off and duplicate is how most entrepreneurs become successful. So just start looking around, use your eyesight, use your vision, and see what opportunities lie around you that you could potentially tap into, and then offer the solution then to the marketplace, and then let it decide if it really wants it and if it's willing to give you its hard-earned money and wealth. It's a lot easier for me to say it than it is to execute on it, and most people do fail at it. But how do you begin? You just begin. Another piece of advice that I'd give you, Drew, is I'd say study greatness. So read biographies of successful entrepreneurs. Read The Everything Store, which is on Jeff Bezos. Read Losing My Virginity, which is on Richard Branson. Read for mindset, something like Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy. Again, success leaves clues. So, I mean, if you're driving or you're working in a warehouse and you can put earbuds in, just get the audiobook and listen to it while you're working. Like put in one earbud and just listen, while you're working. There's different ways to go about it, but just begin, is basically what I'm saying with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. Like, so I've been trying to get into real estate investing, so I've been reading up on that also. But yeah, I was just wondering. That's all.
Texas is a really big real estate market. If you like, if you live in Texas and you like real estate, my good friend Jason Bible, which is on my 1% shows, and we usually do these the first Monday of every month on the Unplugged Alpha podcast. He's one of the guys that pops in. He's big in Texas real estate, and he has a book on Amazon called Mr. Texas Real Estate. I would check that out.
Okay, I do that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, bro. Let's see what we got here in the live chat. And again, guys, if you have a question, the link to join the StreamYard link is pinned at the top of YouTube. It just says come in and ask a question. There's a StreamYard link there. Let's see what we got here. Superchats. Josh says, stopping by. Have you guys heard about that like button feature YouTube added back in 2007? Check it out. Yeah, just Doesn't cost you anything to hit the like button, guys. There's close to 600 watching and just under 400 likes. Do me a solid and just hit it. It helps with the algorithms. It just helps. Let's see what we got here in the chat. High level ticket sales. Loose truck. Mr. Texas Real Estate. Yeah, we just talked about that. Let's see what we got here from Unnecessary Act in the waiting area. All right, what do you got for me, my man? You got a chin up bar.
What's going on, Rich? How are you?
What's going on?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, what do you got for me tonight?
So I'm seeing this girl. She's a vegetarian for 7 years, and
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
No. It's actually.
Are you vegetarian too?
No, never.
Okay.
No, but it's a good thing because the bill's kind of nice, on my part. It's also like
okay, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. So she's thinking, like, when we first started a year ago, I told her, like, oh, I can definitely turn you into a meter, and she's like, hell no. But recently I can see it. She's thinking about it, and I don't want to say I put that in her mind that she's changing and whatnot. But my concern is I kind of don't want her to change now, not because of the bill, but because of she's very feminine. And I'm just asking, do you think this eating meat and shit like that will turn her more aggressive, less feminine?
No, absolutely not, dude. That's a total myth. No, absolutely not. I've turned vegans into meat eaters. It's not a bit like in actuality, if you want to have a good relationship with a chick, she needs to eat healthy. Like she needs proper nutrition, and you can get the full spectrum of nutrients that you need from a plant-based diet, but it's very hard. Like you really have to work at it. So incorporating animal protein into your diet is really important. It's just important for women. So I can't see any downside to it. I mean, I like personally, it just annoys the shit out of me if I'm like, all right, I feel like bacon and eggs this morning, and she's like, and I'm a vegetarian, so you got chickpeas or fava beans or some shit like forget it. Like it's like it just makes your life easier. It shouldn't be a money issue for you. It shouldn't even be an issue for you. In fact, I would insist anything on a long-term basis. I mean, if you're going to invite a woman in your life on a long-term basis, I would insist that I don't have to deal with separate culinary or dietary issues. It's just extra nonsense that a guy shouldn't have to deal with, if you know what I'm saying. That's just my view on it, though. I mean, you're asking me for my view, so that's what I think.
Right. No. That is it's a good point. But she doesn't make it a problem for me at all. She actually wants to cook meat for me and learn steak and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't want you to do that. Well, you think it's bad for you. I mean, not bad for you, but thinks it's gross. But it's easier. She makes it easier.
Every vegan at some point that's been a staunch anti meat consumer always has to turn back to it, because you can't get the nutrients that you want from plants. You just can't get them all. It's very, very hard. I mean, it can be done, but it's very hard. But that's just my take on it. I mean, just keep your life simple, man. I mean, if she doesn't complicate it, then just keep it simple. But there are some crazy vegans that will try to turn meat eaters into vegans, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But she is open to the idea of, if and when she gives birth, that she will definitely start eating meat.
Why does that have to change then?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, wait. Is this mother stock that you're vetting here? Like, what are we talking about?
No. So we didn't really get to the mother talk, but I just tell her, because she's always talking like she'll never turn into meat eating and stuff like that. I'm like, you do know, if you ever give birth, that you might have to start eating meat. And she's like, yeah, that's when that time comes, I will. So that's just I'm not worried about that part, because of the nutrition. And if it was meat, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, the way that you're describing it, her approach to it, I don't want to use mental illness, but I'm going to use mental illness. I mean, it's a little bit mentally ill, the way that, the approach to dietary restrictions is being looked at. Well, if you have a kid and something changes in, your hormone panel and your blood work and the way your body operates, and you have to start eating meat, as a result of that, because you're now a parent, right? Because you're breastfeeding, or like whatever reason, is going to be adopted at that time. There's some of these staunch, they're anti this or pro this, and it's like all in one category. Okay. Humans are hunter-gatherers. We eat animal protein and we eat plant matter. That's what we've eaten for millions of years, and that's what we need to eat to get the the vitamins and nutrients and everything that we need to function properly. The way that she's going about it, like, I don't like meat right now, but I will after this. Why? Why does that have to change? Right? You see what I'm saying? Why does it have to change when a kid comes along? Why does it have to change when she's breastfeeding?
Because of the nutrition value. Like, it's more.
Right. So she still needs the same nutrition right now.
Right. But apparently she gets it out of her, supplementing and things like that. Like, she gets adequate amount of protein. But I tell her it's not the same. But this is not an argument by any chance. It's just this is just a fun talk.
It's more than just protein, though, right? I mean, like, you can't even get all the nutrients that you want out of plants just by eating plants, because soils are now deficient. Like, that's one of the arguments some guys say, is they're like, oh, well, why would you take vitamins, or why would you take supplements? It's like, because a lot of, like, even if you eat salads consistently, you still can't get all the nutrients out of plant matter because soils have been depleted, right? It's like one of these hardcore areas, right? It's like toxic feminism. There's like the climate change, nut bars. There's the guys that are all electric vehicles. There's guys that are all only gas vehicles. There's the carnivore diet people. There's the plant diet only people. It's like, okay, humans don't operate that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, we operate on a spectrum when it comes to nutrition.
Right.
And limiting yourself to just into the just limiting yourself to something like plants or carbs or sugars or meats is going to go wrong at some point.
Yeah. No, she got indoctrinated into the, like, what you were saying about feeling bad for the animals, right? And apparently when she was 7, she saw a cow get slaughtered and she feels bad for that. I'm like, well, everybody eats meat, so it's just the way that's my argument.
It's always about the feels before reals, but for the entire the only reason why she exists today is because her ancestors ate meat. If her ancestors didn't eat meat or limited their diet to like just plant matter, they would have been a genetic dead end. I guarantee you, she would not be on this planet. But that's just how I look at people that lean too far into one area, right? Like, you get the strongly conservative people, you get the strongly liberal people. Like, anytime you lean too far into any one area, and a dietary restriction that's limited to just plant matter, to me, is too far. There's going to be guys in the comments or the chat or something like that afterwards. Oh, you don't understand, and they're cruel to all. Okay, fine. Then don't eat factory farm chickens. Why don't you get a chicken coop and grow chickens? Like, raise chickens in your backyard, sort of thing. If you don't like how they raise them, same thing with cows. Go and get your meat from grass-fed, beef, right? That's really what it all boils down to. Chris is saying to take her hunting.
That would be sick.
Anyway, it is what it is. You get the point, though, right?
Yeah. So at the end, conclusion.
You may not see it as a problem right now, but what I'm driving at is the mindset towards locking an ideology down into one very tight area and not seeing the spectrum, beyond that. Women that lock themselves down into a very, like, if I were to add more red flags to my red flag chapter, and you guys know there's 20 in there right now, one of the red flags would be dietary restrictions. Women that have these like weird one area of like food only. Now, setting aside like if there's any kind of like inflammatory diseases or like gut biome issues, and you've got to take certain things out of your diet, like gluten, for example, the vast majority of people that are all like, oh, well, I don't want to touch gluten, they're not even gluten intolerant. Like, the percentage of the population that's actually gluten intolerant is very, very small, right? But now we have this entire industry that caters to, there's gluten-free this and that, sort of thing. So it gets a little crazy when you tighten the dietary restrictions down, which is what I'm driving at. It's not so much of like, I don't care if you get all your nutrients from plants or if you think that you are. The point being is, to me, it's a red flag when you constrict yourself down to this crazy area. You see what I'm saying?
I know, I do. So my main conclusion, you don't think it's going to turn her aggressive or less feminine if she starts eating meat again?
No, absolutely not. That's total BS. Absolutely not.
Okay. That's the ponder I had. But
all right, she'll be helpful.
Yeah.
Be helpful for anything.
I think so too. She'll get thicker and stuff like that. She already has a nice body, but the only reason why I ask is I can easily do it because she's hanging out with me all the time, and she starts looking at my food. And that day she was talking about it. I'm like, I can easily give it to her, but I just told her no because I was thinking about this question, and that's why I was like, let me ask Rich this. He might know.
Well, there's my take on it.
But yeah, thanks,
all right, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Take care. I got my hunters in the live chat here talking about stuff like that. Yeah, you don't like factory farming, like how they slaughter cows. Go hunt. Go out and get your own meat. Problem is women don't hunt. They generally aren't hunters. Like men are the hunters, women are the gatherers. Amen, Rich. My beef is from a local farm. Buy half a cow annually and butcher it. Yeah, I mean that's one way that you can do it. You can find one of these farmers that raises cattle grass fed and just buy half a cow. Buy a cow. Whatever it is that you want. You can split it up with family. Stick it in your freezer. You're good. And that's the other point to harvesting an animal because we call it hunting, but realistically it's harvesting an animal, and there's a great deal of respect that you have for the entire process. You're much closer connected to that entire process and the food when you go about it that way versus watching some hippie hug the trees and hold hands and sing kumbaya stuff about why you shouldn't eat certain things, right? Got Cruz here waiting to hop in. Let's see what Cruz has got for us. What's up, buddy?
No way. Hi, Rich. Nice to meet you.
What's up, buddy?
Not much. Just heading home from work. 13-hour drive, but working on that entrepreneurship,
All right. What do you got for me tonight?
So, I've been watching you a while. Definitely working on spinning plates, trying new relationships, new things in relationships and stuff. But I came across one girl that I really ended up liking a lot, and she kind of sucked me into, like the whole, let's talk about a serious relationship sort of thing. But now they're doing like the normal typical, I want to think about things and this and that, and I just kind of said, I ain't got fucking time for it. I got my own stuff going, so I kind of just cut it off. But at the same time, in the back of your head, you're like, damn, this is probably like the finest girl I've ever had a chance to hook up with. It's like, in your mind, like, is that worth like pursuing, or should you still just focus on your road, keep on moving forward?
Have you read my book?
I haven't. It's been on my to-do list, but if you believe it, I'm pretty busy.
So, if you're doing these drives, just get the audiobook and listen to it while you're driving. There's a chapter
That's
on genuine
my goal.
Desire. Okay. There's a chapter on genuine desire. So you need to understand the concept of genuine desire, which you're not familiar with right now because you're asking questions around, well, do I continue to pursue her or do I let her go? And the answer is if she doesn't have genuine desire, the unplugged alpha lets her go.
You're right. But so when they tell you they've got like this desire and they're like pulling you in, that's just all like bullshit. Like the general desires through acts, right? Like
her words don't matter. Her actions matter. And if her actions say no, then the answer is no.
Okay. Yeah. I got you, man. I got you. I'll work on getting the audiobook, but I really appreciate your time and all your input and everything else. Y'all.
Do you have an Audible account?
With what?
On your phone. Do you have an Audible account on your phone?
No, I don't believe I do.
Okay, so the reason why I mention it is if you download the Audible app and then put it on your phone, you get 1 free credit just by putting the app on your phone. You can get my book for free right now.
Yeah, I would listen to it on my 13-hour drive home, 100%.
Pull over and download it right now, and there you go. You'll get your answers. It's like a 5-hour listen, man.
Yeah, no, I will. What app is it?
Audible. Amazon.
Audible?
Amazon Audible. And it's narrated by me, so you'll hear it in my voice.
Cool, man. I like your voice. You got
all right, buddy. Take care.
All
right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, we will wrap it up. But the link is there, pinned to the top. If you got anything else for me tonight, let me know. Let me just quickly check the chat here, see if we missed anything. Boom, boom, boom. Sister got 4 deer in 4 days 2 weeks ago. Some ladies do hunt and hunt well. Your sister's a good lady. Stay on your mission cruise. Yeah, you can listen to that book twice in the 13-hour drive. Yeah, just guys, I realize a lot of you just watch the content, or you'll just, catch it when it shows up in your subscription feed. The best material that I've put out on the channel has been distilled into the actual book. There's stuff in the book that hasn't even been put on the channel, if I'm being honest. Okay. It's Unplugged Alpha, it's on Amazon. The entire concept of this podcast that I'm building on and the follow-up book that I'm building on is actually building the life of an Unplugged Alpha, which is more complex than just saying, hey, do A, B, and C, and D sort of thing. But to get your head around it, I mean, if you're going to call in on the show, if you're going to watch the show, you're not getting everything that you need. You're missing out on stuff. And the reason why it's in print and it's on Kindle and it's in Audible is it's accessible in every way possible. I have it translated in Spanish now, and I got to get a cover design. I'm not sure what the Unplugged Alpha translate to in Spanish, but I got to get the cover design for it and then get it uploaded. But that'll be available soon as well. And I have a hardback option, which will come soon. And I have a follow-up book coming to it as well. Guys, if you're driving and, you're liking my content, there's no reason why you shouldn't download Audible, put it on your phone, and turn your drives into a university. I've had Audible on my phone probably for about 7 or 8 years now, and I've listened to probably months worth of content now. It's not even hours or days or weeks. It's probably coming up on a year's worth of total content that I've listened to. I don't read books. I don't have time to sit around and look at paper and read. I do have time when I'm driving to throw on an audiobook. I usually put the slider over to like 1.25 speed or something like that, 1.35 speed. And you can rip through it real quick. And it's just an awesome way to spend your time. I find, the best content on Audible, and you can literally turn your car into a university education without the wokeness or the political correct nonsense that you see today in most universities and schools. But you get the idea, right? Let's get back to who's in the waiting area. I got a Just Victor here. Let's see what Just Victor has for us. All right, buddy. What do you got for me tonight?
Hi, Rich. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, I just would like to say I'm calling from London, by the way.
Of course.
London, England. So I've been watching your show for a while, and I would say I'm an alpha guy.
Okay.
A lot of the things you speak about, I'm familiar with, and I do practice. I do learn a lot more from your shows and your videos and that. But the thing is, it isn't easy all the time to stay in your alpha frame with a lot of these women nowadays. But I just want to know what you think about like maintaining the frame, especially when you're dealing with like a lot of this modern day women. How do you constantly maintain the frame?
So it's work. The easiest way to explain it would be to understand it this way. In every relationship dynamic, whether you're at a coffee shop, you're at a pub, you're having dinner, you're watching Netflix with her, you're in the bedroom, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter who you're with. It doesn't matter how long you've been with them. There's frame, and one person enters the other person's frame, right? Let me put it to you this way. If you're leaving a restaurant after a meal and you're walking to the car, you've driven your car that night, you've parked it where you wanted to park it, you've decided where you're going to go for drinks, she's following your lead, she's in your frame, right? And if you think about it very briefly in every interaction, it'll become more natural to you as you kind of progress and go on in life, when it comes to dealing with women. And the concept of frame isn't just limited to intersexual dynamics between men and women. There's frame when I'm negotiating with a vendor. There's frame when I'm working on a deal. There's frame when I'm on a rally with my boys, sort of thing, right? There's always the alpha male of the group, sort of thing. So it's just something that you have to be aware of, is who's holding the frame at this given time. And when it comes to dealing with women, it should be you, because women want to look up to a guy, right? Like they don't want to lead, despite what toxic feminism has told them you go girl, you can be a guy, hashtag boss girl and all that bullshit.
Bullshit. Complete bullshit.
It's all rubbish. So when you understand it, and then you're able to hold the frame, then it just gets easier for you as time goes on. But you'll find yourself in certain, scenarios from time to time where you're like, ah, shit, I that just wasn't me. Or when you're texting, if you're into some dynamic when you're texting with a girl, you're in, communication in that sense. It's there in black and white. There's her message. There's your message. There's her message. There's you can look at it. Like you can read it and see who's holding the frame.
Who's in whose frame. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And secondly, I'd like to tell everybody that's watching this show that you guys keep watching Rich, man. It's the guy, because you really touch on a lot of stuff. I watch a lot of your entrepreneur in the car stuff, where you speak to several people, and it's very, very inspiring. It's educative as well. So I learn a lot from you, basically. So I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Rich, man, because your shit is a lot of unfiltered stuff, especially with the current climate these days. We get a lot of programming, a lot of stuff that we see on the media, social media is all bullshit. But with you, it's clean cut. There's no bullshit, basically. So I appreciate you for that.
Man. There's no fillers.
Yeah. You're one of the guys that's still holding it down, like for the alphas,
Thank you. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah. Cheers, man.
All right, man. Be good. All right. I think we're going to wrap it up on that note. It's been a good night, and Stirling was a lot of fun to chop it up with. I also got to shout out to my other channel sponsor, the Tactical Soap. I got to get my fingers pointing the right way with the arrows. Anyway, right there. Grundike Soap's been a great supporter of the channel for quite a long time now. Tactical Soap and Beard Oil. It's available at coopersoap.com. And using coupon code Cooper at checkout gets you 10% off. It's pheromone infused. It's handmade with no endocrine disruptors. I'm fastidious about making sure that I don't put crap on my body, toiletries, beard oils, soaps, stuff like that. You put the wrong stuff on your body, it's gonna interrupt the way that your endocrine system operates. If you're unfamiliar with the concept, Dr. Anthony J wrote a book called Estrogeneration. It's available on Amazon. You can listen to it as well. There's an audiobook version that I listen to, and it breaks down all these sources of environmental estrogens. Again, that's part of the reasons why I've been supporting Scott, and he continues, support the channel. It's not your cheap crap that you can buy 48 of in a box at your big box, grocery stores, department stores, stuff like that. Check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. I should mention later on this week on Thursday, I have a Playing to Win episode. I think it's around noon. I got to create the event tomorrow morning. I've got Greg O'Gallagher from Kino Body joining me, kind of talking about his Playing to Win journey. He's a local Toronto guy, and I've followed him for a few years on social media. I think he's a good dude, so it should be a very interesting conversation. So check that out, and we'll see you guys